When we reach a point of spiritual winter, we need to realize that it's something we need to go through from time to time. Hello, everybody. This is Mike from Catholic Treehouse, and I'd like to welcome you to episode 56 of the Saint in Progress podcast, your source for inspiration, information, and directions for your soul's journey back home to the Father's house. So Happy New Year, everyone. This is the first episode of 2026, and dare I say, Merry Christmas. You see, that's right, woodchuck chuckers. Christmas technically isn't over until the Feast of the Presentation of the Lord on February 2nd, which is also known as Candlemas, which the secular world we know as Groundhog Day. So incidentally, that is one of me and my wife's favorite movies. We literally watch it every year on Groundhog Day. It's become a tradition for us. So anyway, it's been quite busy here in the Treehouse, which is why I haven't been able to sit down and record anything. But I hope you've enjoyed the written pieces that I put out in the meantime. Between my wife's work and daughter's school, and add on that the imposing deadlines of getting new products into the printing pipeline so that I have inventory on hand to sell at the Columbus Catholic Men's and Women's Conferences in February, taking the time necessary to put some notes together and record and edit and post a new episode, unfortunately hasn't been something I've been able to make happen. But here I am this week, and I'd like to thank you for your patience in waiting for this episode to come out. So, briefly, I am proud to announce the Catholic Treehouse has released a new book entitled What Are We Looking For? By author Michael Hayek. It's a look at his time in public office in the city of Westerville, and it looks at the sticky problem of church and state from the perspective of someone who had to wrestle with some big issues during his tenure where the two conflicted. Now, it's not a manifesto of any particular political party, but it's rather more of a look at how he wisely used the resources of faith to direct his decisions in the public square. So you can pick up a copy at catholictreehouse.com or on Amazon. Again, the title is What Are We Looking For? By author Michael Hayek. All right, so like a large chunk of the United States, we here at the Treehouse got buried in snow last week. We got about a foot, and the temperatures have been, well, painfully cold. And my daughters have been off school all week as well. Now, Monday I kind of understood since we were level 3 snow emergency and the roads weren't great. An argument could be made for Tuesday as well because we were still at a level 2. But by Wednesday, all the major roads were clear, and the only issue was the fact that it was cold outside. Now, I don't know about you, but when I was growing up in Pittsburgh, we never canceled school just because it was cold. At most, they might delay it an hour or two, but not usually. Parents would drive you to the bus stop and you'd sit there in the warm car and wait for the bus to show up. Or more likely, you try to convince your parents to let you get outside of the car so you can get into a snowball fight with your friends while you're waiting for the bus. And all the buses had chains on the tires, mind you, because that's how they had to get around on snow-covered hilly roads, right? They didn't wait for the roads to be clear. They put the chains on and off they went, and you went to school. Because that's just what you did. You didn't call off school just because there was 2 inches of snow on the road or whatever. So anyways, we've been stuck inside for most of the week, and I did some thinking about seasons, and in particular, seasons in our spiritual life, and how sometimes we're in a season of spiritual spring, where there's a sense of renewal of the spiritual life, and then summer when everything is warm and there's great spiritual growth, and then how we enter a spiritual autumn sometimes, and things begin to die back. And then maybe we hit the dead of winter and it can be a period of darkness and bleakness and spiritual coldness. But here's the thing with harsh winters. They always lead to a lush spring and bountiful summer. And farmers know this well. You see, the super cold temperatures we get, well, they kill off bacteria and bugs and other stuff that attack crops and other plants. Fruit trees in particular need hard winters to produce good fruit. When they get a hard winter, they enter a period of dormancy where their energy is held in reserve for when it gets warm. So when spring breaks and summer arrives, that energy that was in reserve is used to spur new growth and an abundant harvest. And so it is with our spiritual lives. When we reach a point of spiritual winter, we need to realize that it's something we need to go through from time to time. like putting on 18 layers of clothes just to let the dog out. It can be a struggle to push yourself to do what needs done. But ultimately, the dog needs to go out, just like we need to persevere in our prayer life. And God allows these periods so that we can more fully turn to Him and trust Him with everything. Typically, this happens when we get too used to the Americanized Enlightenment ideal of, I can do it myself, and try to take on all of life's problems without God's help. And we forget that we can do nothing without God. So that's why God allows these spiritual winters sometimes. And so if you're in a spiritual winter, if you're struggling to maintain your prayer life, take some time to evaluate where your energy is spent and allow some things to go dormant. Winter is a time for your spiritual life to rest and prepare for spring and a summer where your prayers will bear much spiritual fruit. And with Lent just around the corner, as a reminder, Ash Wednesday is February 18th, now's not such a bad time to take a spiritual rest so you can have the reserves of spiritual energy to carry you through the Lenten season. Okay, that's it for this week. I realize it's a little bit of a short episode, but again, things are pretty busy in the Treehouse. But thanks for listening, and be sure to check out What Are You Looking For and all the other great books we offer at CatholicTreehouse.com. And if you're in the Central Ohio area, I hope to see you at the Columbus Catholic Men's and Women's Conferences next month. We'll have a table at both conferences, so be sure to stop by and say hi. Michael Hayek will be there autographing copies of his book, and Kevin Lowry will be at the men's conference as well, autographing Honor Thy Wife. I just ask you, don't punch Kevin in the face. Okay, you see, one guy who read Honor Thy Wife said to me, I don't want Kevin's autograph. His book really called me out on some things I was doing wrong and made me so mad I wanted to punch him. But he's right. So anyways, stop by the tables and say hi, and please don't hit Kevin. Okay, so there's a bunch of things in the pipeline for this year, so be sure to subscribe either to this podcast over on Substack at catholictreehouse.substack.com, where you can subscribe and support us with a paid subscription, or go to catholictreehouse.com and subscribe to the mailing list. There's a bunch of new books coming out in 2026 that I'm very excited about, so stay tuned. And as always, love God and neighbor, get to confession and stay in a state of sanctifying grace, and pray your rosary. Meditate on those mysteries and pray for the salvation of souls, especially all those who have fallen away from the faith. And remember, my friends, you are a saint in progress, so go out there and be a saint.